The Caribbean National Forest is the last refuge for the species, not the optimum habitat. So we know that eventually we need to reintroduce this bird in other historical sites where they used to flock years ago.
Right. Our plans in terms of release work, especially specifically reintroduction work, is in fall of 2006 in October to actually reintroduce or to try to reestablish a new wild population in the Rio Bajo area, right there at the actual aviary site. And we plan to do that using 3 separate releases over a 3-year period. We're talking about relatively large releases of around 18 to 20 birds each time. So we're just basically going to saturate that area with release birds and try to establish a resident population based on the actual aviary grounds.
The aviary was finished by 1990, but it didn't get the birds right away. It had to be tested for 3 years. It was tested using Hispaniolan parrots. The Hispaniolan parrots were used as sentinels to test for the presence of sickness and to test the staff too, to see if they were able to produce parrots, because that if they were not able to produce parrots, why bring them here? Some people might think we made pets of them, and that's not true. We try to keep them at a certain distance so they don't become too attached to the staff. The aviary is not built like a zoo. It's built in a way that favors the birds hiding.
I mean, we are raising these animals to be wild animals, which is very important. We don't want to have parrot pets, you know, like they see a human being and fly and start asking for food. People breed parrots very easy in captivity, but we are not breeding that kind of parrot. You know, we want parrots that are nasty parrots.
We hardly interfere with their lives except when we check their nest or feed them. The rest of the time, they are free to be parrots. If we had a pair and we give them a nice nest, a beautiful cage, everything that they need to breed, that might not be enough. So we are searching, what does this pair need? And we keep a dialogue. We observe how they move in the cage, how they move in the nest, how they shoot the nest. I think about this magazine I was reading that had pictures of some of the most beautiful women you can imagine. In this magazine there was a letter about a reader that complained bitterly that there weren't chocolate bears in any of the photos. And he wanted the editors of the magazine to please to put a chocolate bar in one of the photos, because that will be the world of difference for this reader. You can only guess what could have happened in the development of that human being that made it so that it didn't matter that he had in front a stunningly beautiful woman if there was not a bar of chocolate in evidence everywhere. So apparently the bar of chocolate was as important as the woman. So in a sense, we are looking for the bar of chocolate for a parrot. Everything might look perfect from a human point of view, but from a parrot point of view, there might be a crucial factor missing.
In order to help the production of new chicks, new parrots, we double clutch. Double clutch means that a parrot, a pair of parrots have eggs, and we take out those eggs and put those eggs in a different pair.
So we take the eggs of the first clutch of the Puerto Rican and pass that to the Hispaniolan pair. The Hispaniolan pair raises those eggs as its own and raises the chicks. The Puerto Rican female, when she doesn't feel the pressure of the eggs in the chest, start ovulating again. And after, a month and a half, she lays another clutch and she gets to raise that clutch.
Usually we don't treat our birds as pets, but when you gotta raise a baby from day zero, it's almost impossible not to attach with that bird. So my favorite bird as of now is a female from last year. Usually the hatching period, sorry, I should say the incubation period for the species is 24 to 28 days. In her case, we know that when we candle the egg, we noticed that her head was not in the proper position. Her body was rotated toward the blunt side of the egg, so she was going to choke inside the egg. Between day 33 and 34, we perform an assisted hatch, and it took us like about 7 hours to finally take her out of the egg, and we kept her in the hospital for a while until she was completely healthy, and eventually she was introduced into the regular flock.
When the parrots are in a group, they have, I would call it an etiquette, probably cultural things, sort of like the advice you will get from Miss Manners. Hand-raised parrots don't get that, so they have trouble fitting in with the other parrots at first, and sometimes they get harassed and they get in trouble. We found that in our flock, 90% of hand-raised parrots pluck themselves. Sometimes they will pluck themselves really bad, and sometimes they will even self-mutilate. Parent-raised parrots only pluck themselves in 10% of the cases, and in those 10%, it was just not serious plucking, not naked bird or severe harm to the body. Birds who are raised by their parents get something, I don't know what, that prevents plucking to a large degree. My own theory is that parents teach the young to be by themselves. Meanwhile, these birds are used to be cared by humans, and they need humans, and they are really unhappy if they don't get the attention. This is one of our founders. We call him Danny. As you see, Danny is plucked. It wasn't so much that he will pluck himself as that the female will pluck him. If you see he has areas plucked on the top of the head, it was the female. This is the display pair. They were born in 1997. They're special because they have a sophisticated view of humans that the other birds don't share. They are used to us, but they are not tame. The reason is that they had the experience of being born in a nest, being cared by their parents, the whole thing, but there was this hurricane, Hurricane Georges, that was threatening the island, and the whole flock had to be evacuated to a hurricane shelter. And the parents were so disturbed they could not take care of the chicks. So they were adopted by humans. So the last part of the growing period was taken care of by humans. So they know what is to be cared by a parrot, but they also know how it is to be cared by humans.